When asked why English during my undergraduate studies, I often responded half-heartedly with something like, maybe I'll teach, or it's a great prerequisite for publishing careers. Or most vaguely, every employer is looking for someone who can write. While my answers weren't specific, I knew one thing. I loved English studies. I feel fortunate that I was raised by parents who love stories. Both of my parents are creatives, poets, musicians, songwriters, and they raised me with a love for music, language, and literature. But most importantly, with a heart for people. My earliest childhood dreams were to be on Broadway or to be an author, or both, and I think my mother still has my first novel somewhere in her attic. Printer paper, bound with duct tape, and probably still reeking of permanent marker 20-some years later. For those who don't know, my educational journey has been untraditional and somewhat circular. In 2018, I entered ECU as a musical theater and English double major, but ultimately made the difficult choice to transfer in 2020. I didn't know at the time that my path would eventually take me back to ECU. During my master's studies, I worked to answer the question, why English? And through multicultural literature and theory courses, my editorial and teaching assistantships, and my internship with Dr. Helena Fetter, I've not only found my answer, but I've honed my research interests. Horror and the Gothic and their multicultural intersections. I am fascinated by authors' complex utilization of the Gothic and horror genres to criticize or examine an aspect of their cultural or political moment, and my instructors encourage me to explore this interest throughout my coursework. The speech would therefore be incomplete without a heartfelt thank you to the English faculty, but especially to Dr. Wendy Scherer for inspiring me to challenge my conceptions of teaching and for illuminating different ways to be an empathetic instructor. To Dr. Ken Perill, my CAP committee member, for his mentorship and constructive feedback. To Dr. Brian Glover, my CAP director, thank you for asking me the most important question while conducting research. Why? Or, more specifically, why does this work matter? Your insight and feedback were invaluable, and through your mentorship, I have been transformed not only as a writer, but as a hopeful literary scholar. So thank you, Dr. Glover, for believing that my work does matter. And finally, to Dr. Margaret Bauer, the editor of the North Carolina Literary Review, my assistantship supervisor, and a true inspiration. Thank you for pushing me and your other students to excellence, and thank you for your faith in me and my work. My assistantship with NCLR was not only fulfilling and exciting, but it genuinely changed my life. So when asked why we, ECU English graduates, chose this path, I'm sure each of us have felt the doubt from the question asker. We can feel their unspoken questions, such as, how are you going to get a job with this degree? How are you going to pay your bills? Why didn't you study something more practical? To those who hoped I would go to law school, I am so sorry to have let you down. As English graduates, we're living in a period of uncertainty, a time where jobs are vanishing, a time where our programs are shrinking, a time where we are faced with mandated censorship that counters our discipline's foundational values. In uncertain times, it's up to us, students, graduates, and scholars, to protect and preserve our academic traditions. So to my fellow graduates, I commend you for your studies and for your chosen discipline. So, while you can certainly utilize your knowledge and the credibility of holding an English degree to correct the long-standing misconception that Frankenstein is the creature, you will do so much more with your degree. Perhaps it is my unwavering optimism, but I genuinely believe that we, as English graduates, embody the hope for the future. Our studies help us to better understand people, identity, and culture, and I believe it is through loving, understanding, and respecting people that make our communities, cities, country, our world better. English studies are all about people, and that includes us. Through our studies, we investigate the hopes and fears of the past, our current moment, and of the future. So I don't know about you, but when I'm asked why English now, my answer is clear. English studies preserves our diverse cultures, traditions, and stories, all of which are impossible without the people who create them. As I've said, English studies is ultimately centered upon people, and in my opinion, the study of language, literature, and rhetoric is not only worthwhile, but essential in examining and preserving our collective sense of empathy, humanity, and morality. To me, this is the most worthwhile pursuit, and something I have had the privilege of exploring during my time in the English Studies MA program at ECU. Thank you, and congratulations to the Fall 2025 English graduates.